Hello to all the lovely cloud enthusiasts and welcome to my channel The Cloud Minds. How are you all doing? I hope that you all are doing great. Today's topic is another interesting topic. It is in our previous videos we have already seen how do we use the elastic load balancer as well as how do we use the auto scaling group. Now today we are going to merge these two, or we are going to use these two in tandem with each other to understand how these two complement each other. Now the reason why we have to do it is because whenever we have an auto scaling group which creates the EC2 instances or other AWS services for that matter, how do we put them behind an elastic load balancer? That is the ultimate result, or that is what we are looking for in this content. But before we go ahead, before we actually jump into how do we do the hands-on, let me give you a quick introduction about me. Hello everyone, my name is Tejas Mahendrakar, and I love calling myself the Cloud Simplifier, and that's my name on the LinkedIn. If you land on LinkedIn and if you search for Tejas the Cloud Simplifier, you will be landing on my page, and then I'll be really happy if you want to connect with me. The Cloud Minds is the name of the channel on YouTube, and if you have not subscribed, I request you all to please subscribe and please share this channel with your friends so that they can also subscribe. And if anyone is looking for something that is new, something that they want to understand in the cloud technology, specifically AWS, I am here to help you. And the reason why I call myself the Cloud Simplifier is because I try to give you the real world scenario so that you can understand how all of these jargons or how all of these services are related to the real world or real world scenarios. Alright, this is because initially when I had started my journey, it was really difficult for me to understand how these all services integrate together or how these services are actually working in tandem with each other, and it was really confusing for me. That is the reason why I thought I'll take up this channel and make you all understand how actually all of these services and jargons are working together with each other. All right, okay. The cloudsimplifier@gmail.com, that's my email ID, and if you have any questions or if you are looking for collaborations or for any matter you want to discuss something with me, you can always send me an email on the cloudsimplifier@gmail.com. That's my email address, which I'll be monitoring specifically for these AWS queries and questions. Alright guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and understand today's topic. Like I said, how this auto scaling group and the elastic load balancer both work in tandem with each other. Okay, so like I said, whenever we land on the AWS homepage or the console page, this is the dashboard that we see, and for your help I've already opened the EC2 dashboard page. Okay, on EC2 dashboard page, on the left hand side, if you see, you can find auto scaling group, as well as you can also find the elastic load balancer. So auto scaling group and load balancer are just next to each other. What do we need to do? We need to create a load balancer, we need to create an auto scaling group, and we need to see how these both can work with each other. Now we need to understand, if we create any EC2 instances within the auto scaling group, how do we put it behind a load balancer? That is what we are here to look at. Alright, so let me go ahead and create these two, the load balancer as well as the auto scaling group. Now remember, in load balancer I'm going to create the application load balancer, and I'm also going to create an auto scaling group, and we'll see how they work together with each other. And if you want to look at the videos on how do we do it, I've already created separate videos, and I'll be giving you the link of those videos in the description box. Do go ahead and check those videos out. Alright, I'll be very quickly creating the auto scaling group as well as the load balancer. You can follow along with me, but this will be very quick. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll select the application load balancer. If you see here, I'll create the application load balancer. Let me give it the name. Let me say demo Linux EC2 application load balancer. Alright, that's the name I'll be giving it today. I'll leave almost everything as default. I'll be selecting the default VPC. I'll be selecting the subnets as 1A and 1B, and here it's very important for us to select the security groups. So I'll be selecting the security group, which is the Linux security group that will allow the HTTP, HTTPS as well as the SSH. That is the security group that I'll be selecting, and that will be allowing the traffic from HTTP, HTTPS and the SSH. Okay, that will be the security group. Okay, and then here, as I said, we have to create the target groups. Now remember that in previous videos we had already created the EC2 instances and then we had added them to the target group, but here we don't have to do that. If you have already created the EC2 instances, well and good, you can still go ahead and create these target groups and add them here. Else you can create an empty target group, and that target group and this application load balancer will be added to the auto scaling group. That is how it works. All right, so let me go ahead and name the target group. Let's name it the same. Let's say demo Linux EC2 target group. All right, let's name it the same. So the target group, the protocol as of now, let me keep it HTTP because we are not creating HTTPS. Everything else will be default. Let me just give it a quick look. Yes, everything else will be default. Here, whenever it says register target, we do not have any targets or EC2 instances as of now. So I'll just say create the target group. And as you can see, the target group has already created. Okay, so I'll have to come back here, give a quick refresh, and then select the target group that we have just created, which is the demo Linux EC2 target group. Everything else can be left optional. You can just have a quick look at the summary of what it is you're going to create, and then we can click on create the load balancer. Now the load balancer creation is in progress. As it is said, it is provisioning the load balancers and we do not have to do anything here. Now once we have done with creating the load balancer, we have to go ahead and create the auto scaling group. Now let me quickly create the auto scaling group and I'll give the same name as demo Linux EC2 auto scaling group. Now why? Because we are going to create Linux EC2 instances and add them to the auto scaling group as well as add them to the load balancers. Alright, now here it is asking to select the launch template. Remember guys, we had already created the launch template, the demo launch template, which is for the Linux instances, and what it is going to do, it is going to create an instance type of T2 micro, and it is going to use the Linux AMI as well as it will provide it the user data so that it can create the EC2 instances. Now the number of EC2 instances can really depend upon me, but I'm going to choose the number of instances as 2 and maximum number of instances as 4, so that whenever my capacity increases or the load increases on the EC2 instances, it can scale till 4 maximum, but the desired capacity as of now I'll keep is 2. Okay, so next I can go to next. It says you can override the launch template. I do not wish to override the launch template. Everything else will be default. So I'll select the default VPC as well as I'll select 2 of the availability zones, which is 1A and 1B, and then I'll click on next. Now this is the point, or this is the place where you actually need to create or attach rather the load balancer. Okay, when I say attach to an existing load balancer, it will say choose from your load balancer target groups. What does it mean? Because we have already created the target groups, we just have to select that particular target group here, so that whenever I create or I launch EC2 instances within this auto scaling group, those are already registered as the target for the load balancers. Okay, go ahead. Good. So let's go ahead and understand what else do we need to do. I don't think there's anything else. Everything else can be left as default. The only important point here is to add the application load balancers target group, which we have already done. Okay, now I can click next. It is asking for the size, group size and scaling. Now here, for example, desired capacity, I would like to keep it 2, minimum capacity as 1, and maximum desired capacity as 4. Okay, now before we go ahead, let me also show you if there are any running instances, so that you can understand that there are no running instances as of now. You can say that there are no running instances or there are no instances as of now, but whenever I create the auto scaling group or whenever I hit create, auto scaling group senses that there are no EC2 instances or as of now within that particular target group or within the auto scaling group, and it will create those instances. Okay, let me go ahead next. I do not want to add any notifications, like we have already discussed before. If you want to add SNS notifications, you can still go ahead and do that. I have discussed this in my previous video. You can go ahead and check it out to understand more. Okay, so tags, I do not want to add any tags, and I'll review this template. I'll go ahead and understand that this is a demo launch template that we have used for Linux, which means it will create a Linux instance and it will add the user's data with it. We have added the availability zones as well as the VPCs, and there's we have only added the load balance. That's the only change that we have done from previous one. Okay, if I'm happy with it, I'll go ahead and create the auto scaling group. Now this will take some time to create the auto scaling group and to create the instances and to register those instances with the target group that we have created with the load balancer. So I'll wait here for some time. Once everything is done and ready, I'll come back and show you how this beautifully works together. Alright guys, let's look at the auto scaling group now. Let's try to understand few more things within the auto scaling group and whether it has been able to launch those instances that we are talking about or not. If you come down to activity tab here, you can see, and if you scroll down a bit here, you can see that it has successfully launched 2 EC2 instances. I can go to the EC2 instances page and then do a quick refresh. It says that the instances are running. It is still doing the status checks, which is still under initializing state, which is completely fine with us. I just want to see that whether these 2 instances that we have launched are working perfectly fine or not. Now, just to give you a quick recap of what we have done, we have created 2 instances in the auto scaling group and we have put it behind the application load balancer. Now what that does is it actually registers the two EC2 instances that we have created to the target group that is within the load balancer. And if you have been following along and if you have been performing the demo by yourself, you would now understand that this is actually working and it is actually created inside the application load balancer. Okay, now if I go to the load balancer and then give a quick refresh, you can see that there is a DNS name. I can copy the DNS name here and then I can open it in another window. Let us see if it works. Oh yeah, it is working fine. So the internal IP address for this is actually 39-227, and if I give a quick refresh, it says 909, which is actually these 2 instances that are running. Okay, so you scroll down and you see the private instance IP address for this is 9-0, which is this one, and the IP address for the other one, let's just pull this back up. The IP address for the other one, the private IP address for the other one is 39.227, which is 39.227, which is actually, these are the 2 instances that are created by the auto scaling group and that are actually behind the application load balancer. Now for example, if I go back to the auto scaling group and I edit these auto scaling group, the desired capacity of this auto scaling group from 2 to 3, obviously it will increase the capacity from 2 to 3 and it will also put that behind the application load balancer. That is the beauty of it. And even if I reduce the capacity, that is how it's going to do. And I can do this in automated way by using CloudWatch alarms as well, but here I'm just doing it manual way so that I can show you how these auto scaling group actually creates another EC2 instance and that is put behind the load balancer. Okay, now if I come back here and then I refresh the load balancer, let me just get into that and get into the target group. Let me just refresh the target group so that we can see if at all it has registered the 3rd EC2 instance that we had created. Not yet. Let's go back and look at the auto scaling group activity if it has started launching the instance, and you can see that yes, it has started launching the instance, but it is yet to register here in the target group. Alright, now you can see that the health status here is initial, which means it has started taking this EC2 instance into the target group, and after some time, once it is deemed healthy, we can actually go ahead and check it within this particular load balancer DNS, and once we refresh, we are able to see not just 39-227 and 9-0, we'll be able to see another IP address as well. Okay, all right. So you can see that there is another IP address which is 32-35. This is another IP address that has been created by the auto scaling group and it has been put behind the load balancer. That is the beauty of it. Okay. Now, always remember that whenever you have created something for the demo purpose or for testing purposes, always remember to delete those instances. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let me just pull this down a bit. I'm just going to edit this and then make the desired capacity as 0. And minimum capacity as well as 0, and then I'll update this. So once I have done that, This actually will terminate all of the EC2 instances and it will take it out of the load balancers. So none of the traffic will go to those EC2 instances and it will start shutting those EC2 instances down. That is the beauty of auto scaling groups as well as the load balancer. I hope guys that you have been able to understand something, you have been able to learn something, and you have been able to understand how these two work together in tandem. And I hope that I have been able to add some value to your cloud journey that has been going on amazing till now. If you have not subscribed to this channel, trust me guys, you're missing a lot. And I hope that you will subscribe to this channel, you'll share it with your friends who are looking to understand the AWS as well as the cloud technology, and I hope that your journey towards cloud technology is going awesome. Alright guys, this is Tejas signing off, and you all have a great day. Thank you.